As Tracy Jordan once exclaimed on an episode of 30 Rock, "Peacock, baby." It was announced that NBCU's bird-named streaming service will host a 5-episode limited series entitled Days of Our Lives, Beyond Salem. The description sounds exciting and you can read all about it by clicking here. Later. Now, with the Olympic hiatus underway, we decided to keep the Days Party bus rolling and discuss this new streaming venture. In fact, it hasn't been since the last Blast reunion on the Days app we've had fresh content outside of the show. We had, a blast with Belle and the gang, so we're super excited about this idea. Anything that keeps Sans going through the hourglass is alright by us, and we were also eager to catch up with former Salemite and badass ISA agent Billy Reed. Here she's in search of some stolen jewels. So, again, color us excited. As teased online, Billy will be globetrotting to stop some seriously bad things from happening as a result of the stolen jewels. We also know that Billy isn't the only one going on adventures, as Yarlina are headed to Zurich, Sinar New Orleans bound, and we're guessing we'll get more than one dopey nod. Chad's going to the US Southwest, and we sure hope he bumps into Sunny and Will, Hint, and Abe, Paulina, Lanny, and Eli will feel the heat in Miami. What? Nobody's going to Alemania? We hear it's lovely this time of year, but we digress. Will the dashing Shane Donovan join them? Our fingers are crossed for that. But, again, we digress. Of course, your faithful two scoopers couldn't just gush about Beyond Salem, and, since we have extra time on our hands due to that little Olympics thingy, we wanted to give our 2 cents, well, 2 scoops and present some further ideas of which Salemites should go beyond and where. Keep in mind, some of these extend beyond the Days universe but seem like too much fun to pass up. Not every entry needs to be saving the world. Some just need to be fun. So, grab a roadie in your bags, and let's head out beyond Salem. Lucas Horton to Tokyo Olympics. Okay. We know that there are no spectators allowed at the Olympics this year. But if there's ever someone who is made for color commentary, it's Lucas. We want to hear his snarky remarks and perplexing inquiries. He's spent the better part of the last year speaking for the audience. Let's get this guy a professional gig doing so. Julie Williams and Loki to Time Variance Authority. Let's be honest here. If anyone could get Loki, the god of mischief, to follow commands and help a lady out, it would be Julie, goddess of chutzpah. Now, we know there are rules. One shouldn't mess with the timeline, but we kind of need Julie to take charge and keep Karening until she meets the manager to explain why certain things need to change. With Loki as her wingman, we have a very busy time-changing to-do list for Mrs. Williams. For example, she must stop a young Mar Evans from wedding a certain Mr. North. Adrienne would be alive, and Justin wouldn't be marrying Bonnie if Big Jules and Loki stopped Maggie from spawning Summer the Bummer. Julie just has to keep Hope from getting on the Loretta. No emotionally scarring pre-spoiler viewers with acid baths for our fancy face. Taking Chelsea's keys would be another VIP task, as well as telling Ben and Sierra to exit through the side door of the church after their marriage. Though, we'll give Julie and Loki a more extensive list and some donuts for the journey. They'll need them, especially for the Higley years. Eek. Gwynriz checked Evero to Las Vegas. Here's the thing. Sometimes people end up dead around Gwen. So, let's give her a ticket to Sin City and a map to Summer's place. Maybe once Maggie goes to an AA meeting on the strip or to fetch La Bummer Townsend some chicken soup for the soulless, Gwen could pay her a visit and, Laura Horton her. Look. We're still unsure of what happened in that Salem Inn hotel room, but if a similar fate met Summer the Bummer, well, none of us would be bummed. What happens in Vegas and all, right? In fact, Gwen might even earn some good grace with viewers, especially if she brought Maggie home safely. Gabby Hernandez Demera and Jake Demera to Alemania. While exploring his Demera side of the family tree, Jake's journey has left him hanging on a limb like one of those encouraging kitten posters. Only none of his siblings are stating, "Hang on." They're actively trying to saw off his branch. Therefore, it's time Jake and Gabby head to Alemania, learn all about his mother's side, and perhaps secure some capital as the country is named after his family, so there must be a secret bank account with his name on it. Possible tour guides could be his half-brother Quinn Hudson, cousin Nicholas Alamine, or, hell, would anybody be surprised to learn Vivian and Ivan broke out of jail and are living large in Amania? They'd surely be the best ones to teach Jake all about the family. Most of the family, Aunt Edith might protest, but we suggest ignoring Lawrence, Scary Larry's history, but the rest should be thoroughly entertaining in a twisted way. And should Viv try to sink her claws too deeply into Jake, Gabby would certainly stand up to her. PSSD. Gabs, we suggest you get Carly Manning to show up if Viv becomes too much of a problem. Doc Manning will surely distract her, and you two can make your getaway with some Alemanian loot in hand. Steve and Kayla Johnson to California first. Steve and Kayla need a real honeymoon. Second, it's high time someone checks in on Kimberly to see how she's recovering. Successfully, please. Finally, how amazing would it be for Steve to fill Shane and Teresa in on the job Kristen pulled on Brady, so the three of them can figure out where she's hiding and, more importantly, how she can finally pay. Teresa's got a long-standing feud with Kristen that never quite felt resolved properly. Claire Brady to London after learning about Tyler Pocket Kyriakis from her once-believed father and current paternal half-great uncle, Philip. We want Claire to set out on an adventure to find him. After all, once she commits to something, Salem's best friend will stop at nothing to help. So, when she learns the Wilkins family who adopted him later gave him away, too, the mystery deepens and leads Claire to London, where she teams up with her sharp-tongued and equally eager to help others Aunt Chelsea. Victor would love this team up. So would we. And we hope that it leads them both back to Salem. As it turns out, Tyler was renamed Henry, who was Claire's friend from high school. Talk about a bunch of reunions we'd love to see. Also, nobody should cut up Chelsea's passport so she can't leave Salem. Nope. Nobody should do that. We slowly slide scissors across the table. Brady Black and Xander Kyriakis to Sarah Island. The buddy movie trope can work well. These two aren't exactly buddies, but say Victor sends them away on some urgent family business in Greece, they'd have to go, right? A begrudged trip together that goes awry would work wonders for Brady and Xander. Well, more so for fans because Eric Martseff and Paul Telfer are hilarious together. Naturally, the Kyriakis jet would crash land en route, leaving these two non-buddies to work together to survive. That is, until they run into Sarah, who would end up saving home. Ultimately, probably Philip and Sean D would use the Kyriakis helicopter to rescue them all, but the meantime would be hysterical, given nobody catches the dreaded jungle madness again. Also, we kind of hope that Sarah's been held up on Ernesto Toscano's Mediterranean Sea island. A cruise of deception shoutout is never a bad thing, nor would it be bad to learn what actually happened to the mad magician. Maybe Sarah used bits of Julie's red dress as markers around the island or parts of the Loretta for shelter. And, since Brady is Isabella's son, that all sounds fitting. At the end of the day, we miss and want our Lindsay Godfrey back as Sarah, as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Tony and BJ. Demerita Statesville. We don't actually want them thrown in jail, but there's more than a little score to settle about one Papa Weston ordering a tiny little hit on EJ. Giving this swap brother duo an adventure would be fun, knowing full well they'll both need Anna and Sami to save them in the end. Kate Roberts to New York City with a Samantha Less Sex in the City revival in the works. We believe Kate would be the most fabulous new friend for the trio of leading ladies left on, and just like that. Hello. Not only could Ms. Roberts Tamara keep up with Carrie Bradshaw on the fashion front, and probably outshine those Big Apple broads, but, with Kate's sharp tongue and drama-soaked history, who would be better to put them in their places when they dwell too long on their troubles? We can already hear Kate state, "Oh, get over it, listen to what happened to me." They dealt with Samantha Jones. Kate's dealt with Samantha Brady. She's ready for anything, so let's hope we see Kate serve up some sage advice while sipping more than a few Cosmos. Oh. And if Kate and the ladies runs into Nancy Wesley along the way, we think she needs to pull up a seat and make this Fab Four a fierce five-some. We'll drink to that. Cheers. Jack and Jennifer Devereaux to Hawaii. No. Really. It's time that somebody finds out what happened to Tommy Jr. and his Horton descendants on the Big Island. The last we knew, he was in Hawaii. That's all. Jennifer has skin in the game, too. Tommy's her uncle. So, if any two Salemites have a chance of tracking down a story, it's ace investigative reporters Jack and Jen. We also imagine they could use some time away together after her long haul in Boston. Though we wouldn't mind if their investigation in Paradise was made a little rocky if an old foe like Peter Blake resurfaced there. Aloha drama. Nicole Walker to Sunset Beach. While we hear Harmony and Bay City are nice this time of year, with a marriage blown sky high, summy high, and some revenge under her belt, Ms. Walker again needs a day at the beach. We suggest Sunset Beach, California. We knew the natives there were restless when last seen at the turn of the century. Oh, we'd love Nicole to help us catch up with them, and get caught up in some drama. Billy may have her hands full investigating missing jewels, but the folks of Sunset Beach know a little something about stolen stones, too. Nicole could learn of the cursed Rosario jewels from Father Antonio Torres. On second thought, she might want to stay away from handsome priests. Still, she could have a drink at the Deep with Annie Douglas, who looks nothing like her old friend Crystal Glore, and learn about the town's history of earthquakes and tsunamis. Maybe she could help Vanessa Hart with a new story, as Nicole does love to get to the bottom of things. Meg Cummings-Evans might suggest Nicole watch her step on the pier if they run into each other, though. Or Ms. Walker could just get a grand update on everyone there from the original Gossip Girl, Beth Katz and Kazrahi. Ultimately, Nicole might want to rollerblade along the beach by herself and say goodbye to Eric. Still, we urge her to check out Elaine's Waffle Shop. The peppy proprietor has taught many that when the moon rises early just as the Santa Ana winds kick up out of nowhere and the sun is just dropping out of sight, whoever you meet at the far side of the pier is who you're destined to be with. Yep, a newly single Nicole might want to get those waffles to go and head to the far side of the pier. Ava will also be glad she did, if the legend still works. Parting thoughts. So, friends and fellow Days fans, that's it for August 2nd. Thanks for joining us during the Olympic hiatus. We'll be back together again next week with another special edition of Two Scoops. We hope to hear what Salemites you'd send on an adventure, so be sure to comment below, on the message board, or on Twitter. And, as always, thank you for reading, and that's a fact. Tony and Lorisa, what are your thoughts on Days of Our Lives? What did you think of this week's Two Scoops? We want to hear from you, and there are many ways you can share your thoughts. Two Scoops is an opinion column. The views expressed are not designed to be indicative of the opinions of Soap Central or its advertisers. The Two Scoops section allows our Scoop staff to discuss what might happen and what has happened, and to share their opinions on all of it. They stand by their opinions and do not expect others to share the same point of view. Ad block test. Why?